We are focused on the energy sector, and we are supporting, financing entrepreneurs in the energy sector that are really up to disrupt the space. From our perspective, the future of the energy sector will be very, very different from what we know today. There's a couple of trends driving that change, and so we think the sector will be much more digital, much more renewable, also much more customer focused, and also much more driven by entrepreneurs. So whenever sectors are changing, like the energy sector today, it's very good timing for startups, for entrepreneurs, driving that change, facilitating that change, and also for venture capital funds backing those entrepreneurs. So I think it's a very exciting time for the energy sector just now. I think it's interesting because, at least for Europe, on a general level, there's only half as much money, if you normalize for the number of startups, than in the US. So I think it's a less mature ecosystem. But the good thing is that we see a lot of new players entering the venture capital space. Family offices, but also a lot of corporate-backed venture capital funds, kind of like us. And I think the challenge is for entrepreneurs to kind of find their way through all those different shades of corporate venture capital funds, right? Because they come with very different intentions. I think it's a broad spectrum from rather strategic investor to really financially driven ones. And I think if I was an entrepreneur, I probably would check, I mean, if I have to make my choices in that range of corporate-backed funds, I'd probably check, or I would probably ask the potential investors, are they exit driven? Are they really up to maximize the startup's value in an exit transition? And do they have a good understanding of that sector? I think that'll be good. If they try to oversell the synergy side of things, I would be a little more careful, but that's probably just a rough guideline, I guess. I think the lead investor decides or determines a lot of things that will happen afterwards. I think a good lead investor that kind of understands the sector, understands the technology, and commits early in the process without relying on other people's opinion, other co-investors, for instance. So I think that lead investor is very crucial in the entire transaction because it defines the quality of the syndicate you will be able to get. So just imagine you have a good lead investor that has a good standing and reputation and network in the venture capital community. It's much more likely that he and the startup jointly attracts higher caliber syndicate partners. So that's one thing. And also I think a good lead investor will drive the process proactively and actually make sure that the entire funding process is really much faster than it sometimes is, right? So and I think for an entrepreneur that's crucial. You want that fundraising to be over with as quick as you can. So I think that's why your choice of a lead investor is really crucial. And also I think what I like or what I've seen over time is that corporate-backed funds are more and more willing to lead rounds, and we're happy to do that all the time. But I think it's a general trend that, and it's good that corporate-backed funds are more and more in a position and comfortable leading syndicates. It's nice. It makes my day much more efficient. I mean, you know, the venture capital ecosystem is kind of small, which is kind of good and bad at the same time. The good thing is you get all people in one place like today, and that makes it so much more efficient. Specifically, it's a kind of a people's business, right? So it's much nicer meeting like all the community in one space and have face-to-face conversations rather than being on conference calls all the time. So I'm really happy to be here.